In the following video, a man starts walking around his house carefully from room to room, checking doors, pausing at corners, clearly on edge after hearing what sounded like someone moving inside his home when he knew he was supposed to be alone. Watch.
Hello?
For a brief second, a dark figure peeks into view, not fully stepping out, not revealing itself completely, just enough to be seen, just enough to confirm that something is there. And then, seconds later, a loud, deafening scream. Viewers who watched the clip were quick to point out that when whatever you're dealing with moves from subtle signs to something this aggressive, something that not only shows itself but also vocalizes like that, it's no longer something to ignore. And it's definitely something that requires protection, not curiosity. What makes this even more unsettling is that, according to him, he had already tried saging the house, a method often used in an attempt to cleanse a space or remove negative energy, and it didn't work, which, for many people who believe in these practices, suggests that whatever is there isn't easily affected or removed. And that raises a bigger concern, because if it's not responding to attempts to get rid of it, and it's bold enough to show itself and scream like that, then it might not be trying to leave at all. So, what do you think was really waiting down there? In this next clip, a woman is simply taking her dog, Luna, for a walk through a cemetery one afternoon, the kind of quiet, routine outing that shouldn't feel threatening in any way, especially in broad daylight when everything appears still and undisturbed. At first, Luna moves normally along the path, sniffing around, calm, behaving exactly the way you'd expect. But then, something changes. Watch.
What is it, Luna? Luna, come here, babes, come here. What's wrong? What's wrong? Luna? What's wrong? Luna, what's wrong? Come here.
Luna begins whining, not playfully, not out of excitement, but in a way that sounds distressed, almost fearful, her body tensing as she starts pulling erratically on the leash, trying to move away from a specific spot as if something there is making her deeply uncomfortable. Many believe that in places tied to death, animals can sometimes sense what shouldn't be active anymore. Not just presence, but unrest, even suffering. There are darker interpretations that suggest dogs can react to what some describe as echoes of punishment, lingering energy tied to people who never truly found peace, as if something beneath the ground isn't silent at all. The idea that a dog could be hearing something like distant screaming, something buried, something trapped, is exactly the kind of thought that makes moments like this hard to shake. Now in this next clip, a young boy named Christian has been having experiences that, at first, seemed harmless, even innocent, but over time started to raise serious concern for the people around him. According to his family, he would often be seen laughing to himself, staring into empty spaces, reaching out like he was interacting with someone who wasn't physically there, and even moving from room to room as if he was following or being led by something unseen. There were moments where he would pause mid-play, look toward a corner, and react like someone had just said or done something to him. At first, it was brushed off as imagination, but then they recorded this. Watch.
What the hell do he see? What do he see? Watch this, y'all. What the hell is he running from? Oh my God, look! The hell is he running from?
I'm here because I love her. And yes, maybe in your mind, she messed up my
Come here. What the hell is going on in my house? I'm getting ready to get a Christian. What is going on? Who is here?
In the video, Christian is clearly engaged with something, laughing, responding, going back and forth like he's playing a game with someone right in front of him, someone only he can see. When the video was shared, a medium came across it and gave a very specific interpretation, saying there was a grandmother figure present, someone older, playful, making funny faces and gestures to entertain him, which is why he kept laughing and returning to the same spot. But what made this even more unsettling was the response from the family, because according to them, the boy's aunt had recently passed, and that would make her his great-grandmother. For many, that detail felt too specific to ignore, especially coming from someone the family had never met. But not everyone saw it that way. In fact, a large number of people in the comments had a completely different and far more disturbing interpretation. They warned that what he was interacting with might not be a family member at all, but something deceptive and potentially dangerous. Some even went as far as calling it a demonic presence, pointing out that in many belief systems, once a person dies, they do not return to interact with the living in this way, meaning anything that appears to be them could be something pretending, something unclean, something with a different intention entirely. So now the situation shifts from curiosity to concern, and now she has just one question: how does she get rid of it? I'll leave this one to you. In this next video, a guy named Jorge gets a call from the artist who tattooed him, and it's not for a casual check-in or to talk about new work, it's because something is going seriously wrong inside his shop. And according to him, it all started right after he did one particular tattoo for Jorge. Watch.
A while ago, Garrett had tattooed me. Obviously, you guys already know. One of them was this right here. Some of you might not know, but it's actually a Lucifer sigil symbol. He said that ever since that, that tattooed activities has been happening in his shops. He did mention that his drill went off for no reason, like his drill that he used to drill stuff, and there's been stuff falling on his other shop. There has been activity, so I told him I will try to do whatever I can. Somehow I'm gonna have to fix this. So I'm actually on my way to his house right now. I'm sorry, not his house, his shop that looks like a house.
At first, the disturbances were subtle, lights flickering without warning, strange noises echoing through the shop after closing hours, objects not exactly where they were left, small things that could easily be brushed off. But over time, the entire place began to feel heavy, like something had settled in. So one night, Jorge decides to go there himself, carefully walking through the shop, scanning every corner, not just out of curiosity, but because he knows what this kind of activity can turn into. And there's a reason for that. Some of you might recognize Jorge from previous videos, but if you don't, he's been dealing with one of the most intense cases of paranormal activity we've covered, to the point where it escalated so badly his entire family had to leave their home. He's experienced shadow figures, constant disturbances, violent nightmares, and even moments where he appeared to be possessed, with no memory of what happened during those episodes. So when you factor that in, it raises a serious question. Why would someone already dealing with something like that go ahead and get a tattoo, especially one that might carry unknown symbolism or meaning? Some viewers believe that decision may not have been entirely his own, suggesting he could have been influenced, subtly pushed by whatever has been attached to him, leading him into situations that allow it to spread or anchor itself further. When Jorge arrives at the shop, he begins looking around carefully to know if something followed him there, or he wasn't the cause at all. Watch.
This is the kind of reasons I think these gets attached, because there's a lot of demonic stuff in here. Look at the sign that says tattoo, but look what it's got on the bottom. It's got a whole demon. So check this out. Here, he's got these crucifix and all that stuff, and I don't know what the hell is this. He's got some animals in here. I hope that does not turn around, because if it goes around, I'm most likely gonna have a breakdown. Garrett did show me a video, and there was an actual orb that came out of this mirror, which I'm gonna be posting that soon. I'm a little nervous, guys. I'm a little nervous, but I'm gonna start the process. But I told them I will try my best to try to solve this and try to communicate. But if not, then I guess we're gonna have to skedaddle. Love you guys, and let's start this.
The things he finds inside the shop itself raises questions. A neon sign shaped like a downward pointing arrow with a grinning demon face at its tip. Jars of preserved animal specimens sitting openly on display. A golden skull placed beside a crucifix, and a large mirror reflecting the entire space back at him. Individually, these might seem like aesthetic choices, but together, they tell a different story. And that's where the situation splits into two disturbing possibilities. Either Jorge didn't bring anything into the shop at all, and his presence simply triggered something that was already tied to those objects, something demonic that had been dormant, waiting for the right moment to become active. Or he did bring something with him, and everything inside that shop, the symbols, the objects, the atmosphere, acted as a kind of landing ground, something for that presence to attach itself to spread, to manifest more freely. Watch this.
How are you?
What's up, brother?
How you doing? So
Great.
you reached out to me?
Yeah, man, I was calling, first of all, check up on that tattoo I did, and then second, to just kind of let you know, curious on what it was. Things have been happening, so.
Oh, it was a Lucifer seizure syndrome.
Lucifer?
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't thought you were gonna have a
Oh.
problem, but.
Come on, man, dude, ever since I did that, this really weird shit's been,
Oh.
weird shit's been.
Oh.
You see what I'm talking about, man?
Okay. I could definitely fix that. That was probably I could probably review my cameras, but I probably
Fix what? What do you mean fix that? What is that?
Is that been happening lately, or?
Yeah, things like that have been happening, but I didn't, like, what is fix that?
Yeah. So do you what other stuff that you have experienced so far?
In here?
Yeah, here, there, anywhere.
Man.
In your house?
Drills been turning on, pictures been falling on the walls. My other location, you hear like pounding in the vents. You hear like nails, almost like dogs' nails scratching on the floor. Bats will be flying in there, and we have to get them out.
Is it okay if I like maybe stay one night or something? Maybe I can probably figure something out.
Yeah, you can. I do have a tenant that lives downstairs, but I'm sure he won't mind.
I can't guarantee you that I might get everything out, but I could definitely work something, because I've been trying to deal with stuff in my house. But
I'm gonna let you do whatever you do, because I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
So whatever that is, I mean, that's between you and that. I just like to keep believing that, that stuff is kind of.
A doll moves on the table, then a roll of paper towel drops on its own. Whatever the explanation is, whether this started with Jorge or was already waiting inside that shop, the pattern is hard to ignore. Because Garrett's list of disturbances all began after that one tattoo. But you be the judge. Now, in this next clip, a man is alone in his apartment late at night on October 7th of 2020, doing something as ordinary as working out with dumbbells in his living room, when a security camera catches something that goes from unsettling to genuinely terrifying in under a minute. For weeks before this, he'd been noticing things he couldn't quite explain around the apartment, but according to him, everything changed after he pulled a voodoo doll out of a nearby river. What that doll was doing there and who it belonged to, he never found out. But shortly after bringing it near his home, the activity started. Watch.
Hello?
First, it's the door. A loud, heavy wooden creak that stops him mid-rap, then the magazine on the coffee table slides on its own, the pumpkin falls, and a doll falls. Some viewers familiar with voodoo and Haitian Vodou traditions believe that objects tied to those practices can act as anchors for spirits, and that removing one from where it was placed, especially from a body of water where offerings are sometimes deliberately left, can disturb whatever was meant to stay with it. So, what exactly followed him home from that river? You tell me. This next clip comes from a home security camera filmed late at night, capturing footage that a husband says shows his wife sleepwalking, something she has reportedly done before, but never like this. The camera is mounted high in the corner, giving a clear view of both the dining area and the living room beyond it, and what unfolds over the next minute and a half is the kind of footage that leaves more questions than answers. According to him, she had absolutely no memory of any of it the next morning. Watch. Chairs start moving on their own, without anyone touching them. Then something appears to crawl up onto the table toward her. Moments later, a door slams shut. But what really unsettled viewers wasn't just the movement of objects. It was the shadow moving around the room before she even sat down, and then lingering, shifting, almost circling her while she remained in that state, completely unaware of what's happening around her. Some viewers believe this goes beyond sleepwalking entirely, suggesting the possibility of a spiritual or even demonic presence interacting with her, or worse, using that state, that moment where she's not fully conscious, as an opening. And the situation becomes even more serious when you consider one detail people couldn't ignore. She's with child. That alone changed the tone of the entire conversation, with many viewers urging them to leave immediately. Now, in this next clip, a couple is sitting in their living room watching a movie when something coming from their basement stops them cold. A sound that, by all accounts, shouldn't be there at all. Watch.
I don't.
Like, what the hell? Go.
I'm going, man. I don't. Even the cats are upstairs, bro. They're not.
What the hell happened? All the dogs are freaking out too. They're all on my feet. Like,
Yeah, Milo and Max are freaked. The light's not working. Oh my god.
what did you do?
I didn't do anything. We literally locked them up.
We were literally just watching a movie. Or we were watching Stranger Things, actually. Hello?
What makes this so difficult to explain is that the crying is clear and continuous right up until the moment he moves closer, and then it stops. Some believe disembodied infant cries are one of the more common auditory phenomena reported in homes, often linked to residual energy from past trauma connected to a space. And in darker interpretations, some believe sounds like this are used deliberately, mimicking something vulnerable, something that triggers a response, something that pulls you in, lures you closer, lowering your guard. Until more details are shared, this remains unsolved. The following video dates back to 2024 and was captured by a family's security camera on a quiet Sunday night at around 9 p.m., a time when nothing unusual would normally be expected, especially inside a home where everyone is settled in for the evening. That sense of normalcy, however, is interrupted when the woman's son goes into the kitchen to make himself a cup of coffee, a simple routine that quickly turns into something far more unsettling. Not long after, he rushes back to her room, visibly shaken, his face pale and his voice unsteady, insisting that he heard someone call his name, not faintly or from a distance, but clearly enough to make him respond, even though no one in the house had called out to him. Within seconds, the CCTV system sends a notification, motion detected in the living room, despite the fact that no one is supposed to be there. Naturally, they check the footage, expecting to find something ordinary, something explainable, but instead, they see this watch. The camera itself begins to move, as though it is tracking something. Then, without warning, the scooter seat snaps shut with force. Some viewers pointed out that in the initial footage, while the sound is clear, the movement itself is difficult to fully see, raising questions about whether it could be a technical issue or a trick of perspective. But then, they shared another angle. Watch. This time, the movement becomes harder to dismiss, reinforcing the idea that something is interacting with the environment. After this incident, the family decides to bless the house, taking steps to cleanse the space and restore a sense of safety. And for a while, it seems to work, as the disturbances stop and life returns to normal, or at least something close to it. But nearly 2 years later, on March 17th, 2026, at around 2 a.m. when everyone in the house is asleep, something happens again. Watch. The bike was stationary and untouched, so how did this happen? The family is beginning to think that whatever may have been present before didn't fully leave, but instead remained dormant, quiet for a long period before making itself known again. Now the family is left questioning whether what they experienced years ago has returned, or whether there is another explanation that has yet to be uncovered. Because when something disappears and then reappears after such a long silence, it creates the unsettling possibility that it was never truly gone, only waiting for the right moment to be noticed again. But you be the judge. In this next clip, a woman is home alone, going about something as routine as doing the dishes when she suddenly begins to hear strange knocking sounds coming from another part of the house. But when she looks around, everything appears normal. No movement and no sign of anyone being there. Still unsettled, she decides to take an extra step, setting up a camera in the living room before heading back to the kitchen, almost as if she anticipates that whatever made the noise might happen again, but this time she wants proof. A few minutes later, the camera captures this. Watch.
Okay, I'm so crazy, right? Here you go. Baby's terrified. Hold on. I know. You're okay. You're okay. I know. God, I'm like shaking.
For a long time, these events remained unexplained, disconnected pieces of a pattern she couldn't fully understand until she eventually traced it back to something she had almost forgotten about. A necklace she purchased back in 2011 from an estate sale, something she initially saw as just a unique vintage piece. The necklace carried unfamiliar symbols, details she didn't think much of at the time, but later came to learn were associated with a figure known for occult rituals and darker spiritual practices, giving the object a context she hadn't considered when she first brought it into her home. Some viewers have pointed out that in many beliefs, objects linked to rituals or symbolic practices are not always the source, but sometimes just a medium. Something that allows access rather than containing it, which raises a more unsettling possibility that removing the object may not necessarily remove whatever became attached through it. Now, in this next video, a family documents a series of escalating events inside their home, compiling multiple incidents over time to show just how far things have progressed. And what stands out immediately is not just the activity itself, but the pattern, because each new experience appears more intense than the last, as though whatever is behind it is becoming more comfortable, more direct, and far less subtle in how it makes its presence known. Have a look. At different points, the activity takes on different forms. Sometimes it's objects being thrown with force, like a knife suddenly moving in a way that clearly isn't accidental. Other times, it's voices echoing through the house when no one is speaking, or lights behaving unpredictably, flickering or reacting without any clear electrical cause. Viewers believe this may not be a simple haunting, but something more aggressive, like a demon. And this raises a deeper question. How do demons find their way into homes? Some believe it can begin with seemingly small actions, bringing in objects with unknown histories, engaging with rituals or practices without full understanding, or even repeated acknowledgement of unexplained activity, which in certain beliefs is thought to strengthen whatever is there. Others suggest that prolonged emotional stress or conflict within a space can create an environment that attracts or amplifies negative presence, turning the home itself into a place where that energy can settle and grow. So, whether you see this as something explainable or something far more serious, one thing becomes clear. Being mindful of what you bring into your space, what you engage with, and what you choose to ignore may matter more than it seems. Because once something crosses that threshold, getting it to leave may not be nearly as simple as keeping it out in the first place. So, beware. A family who had just moved into a new apartment begins to notice small things that don't quite add up. The kind of details that are easy to brush off at first, but become harder to ignore the more often they happen. It starts with subtle disturbances, objects not being where they were left, faint sounds late at night that seem to come from empty rooms, and moments where the air feels strangely heavy, as though the space hasn't quite settled into being lived in yet. Over time, these incidents begin to form a pattern, one that the family can no longer dismiss as coincidence, especially after experiencing multiple events that feel increasingly difficult to explain. By the time this recording is made, they refer to it as the third major incident they've captured, almost as if they've reached a point where they expect something to happen rather than hope it won't. Watch.
See, it's still happening. Honestly, this is all the time. Whoa, Jesus. The cat scared the shit out of me. Rory, you were really scaring the shit out of me. I know Rory didn't do that. What the f is going on? What the f happened, Rory?
Your first thought is airflow from a vent, but how do you explain the door? What adds to the tension is the fact that he was completely alone at the time, removing any immediate explanation tied to another person's presence. When activities begin shortly after moving into a new space, it may not be something newly introduced, but something that was already there, something tied to the environment rather than the people who now occupy it. And when each new incident builds on the last, becoming more noticeable, more physical, and harder to dismiss, it creates a growing sense that whatever is causing it is not random. But until more updates are shared, what exactly is behind these disturbances remains unclear. The following video is about a man named Jorge, who for some time has been dealing with recurring shadow figures and a series of deeply unsettling events that, at first, seemed limited to his surroundings. Objects shifting slightly out of place, brief shapes appearing at the edge of his vision, and an ongoing feeling that he was not alone, even when there was no one else physically present. There was also a moment that raised even more concern, when he began acting in a way he could not later recall, behavior that others described as completely unlike him, leaving him dependent on his own security footage to understand what had taken place, as if there were periods of time where he was present, but not fully in control. And now, this is what he's dealing with. Watch.
Guys, I was getting ready to go to sleep and I just heard a door slam. Shut loud. I just heard a door slam. What shit? Oh no. Somebody's there. Wait. In the name of the Son and the Holy Spirit, I ask every demon, I command every demon to leave the house right now. I command in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, leave the house now. In the name of the in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, I ask you to leave this house now. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. You are not welcome in this home. You are not welcome in this home. This is the house of... There's a door slamming and people screaming. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
At first, the door slammed, then he felt something move past him. Some interpretations suggest that when activity progresses from external disturbances to direct influence on a person's physical state and awareness, it may indicate a deeper level of attachment, something that is no longer confined to the environment alone. Others believe that the presence of shadow-like movement, especially when it appears to move quickly and deliberately, can be associated with entities that do not fully manifest, but still retain the ability to interact with both space and perception. For now, what Jorge is experiencing continues without a clear explanation or resolution, and until more information comes to light, this case remains one of those situations where the pieces are visible, the pattern is forming, but the full picture is still just out of reach. Now this next video was captured by Jennifer, who owns a beautiful historic home dating all the way back to 1907, a place filled with carefully preserved antique pieces, some of which date even earlier to around 1903, giving the house a sense of history that feels both rich and, at times, a little too present. At first glance, everything about the home appears warm and inviting, the kind of place that reflects elegance and character rather than anything unsettling. However, after speaking with a local historian, Jennifer learned something that added a different layer to that history, that when the house was first built, there were no nearby hospitals, and as a result, it is believed that at least 4 people passed away inside the home itself, a detail that, while not unusual for the time period, begins to take on a different meaning when paired with what she starts experiencing. On this particular day, while cleaning the second floor, she begins to hear something. Listen closely.
Hearing some noises upstairs. Emily went home. I'm cleaning. I usually clean on Saturdays. I feel like when I clean, hear that. Then I hear noises upstairs. Just heard it. Speaking also, like a voice, but the noises in the upstairs are coming from that way. Hear that? Good, I really hope they're cleaning because I could use some help. It's crazy. It's like I hear like a broom being dragged by, just housekeeper shuffling or something. Obviously the creek. Oh, I just heard some music again.
Before jumping to conclusions, there's a piece of the home's past that many believe could be connected to what's happening. As far back as the 1930s, the family who lived there had a housekeeper named Mildred, and according to stories passed down by previous residents, the house tends to become noticeably more active during the month she passed away, with sounds that resemble someone moving through the rooms, almost as if routine has continued long after it should have ended. To this day, the house remains a place filled with both history and unanswered questions, and whatever presence may still linger within its walls remains a mystery. The following video was captured inside a hospital by Dave, a man who claims he's been gifted with sight since he was young. According to him, he doesn't just sense things, he sees and hears them, and he says spirits tend to follow him, especially in places where emotions are intense, like hospitals, cemeteries, abandoned buildings, places where life and death have crossed paths. While Dav was receiving treatment, he suddenly felt like he wasn't alone in the room. Watch.
There's like something in this room. That is like moving like the chairs. Move this shit right here. Oh, my bad. That should hurt. But anyways, if there's a spirit in here, just let me know. You know. And sometimes things this is Kaiser. Oh, good. I felt like a really, really heavy presence in this room right when I walked in, but I just thought I see something sitting right there. I'm sorry. My phone. That's not good. There's a lot of things happening here. Again, that door slowly opened and closed right now. If there's anything in here, just give me a sign. I'm here in peace. Okay, you can say anything. Just don't mess with my heart monitor or anything. That started to move, but it could be people up there. Okay. So it's you can hear TV or something. Move anything you want. Let the people know what you're speak into this thing. Show me your hair, presents. You could, I got a gift, and I'm not afraid. So if you decide to move anything, or open that door again, I won't be frightened. What the hell? Oh. Whoa, shh. Excuse me, nurse. Oh, that's some activity. Excuse me. This thing fell. Right here. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it just fell.
Oh, weird.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was just sleeping and.
Well, that scared you, huh?
Yeah, it scared the shit.
I was worried. I thought you fell.
Oh no.
But it wasn't you. All right.
Okay, people, that was a scary situation. I know I didn't jerk, but yeah, it's ghost activity. Oh my God. Oh crap. Well, I got the gift, but I'm not gonna abuse it. I just asked for, you know, little signs here and there. They showed them to me. Nothing to be alarmed about, people. Didn't feel it was evil at all. But whoa! I know you guys heard that over there. Woo! Anyways, God bless you guys. I'm not gonna entertain them anymore because I don't need my heart to go racing. God bless you guys. But anyways, I was gonna cut this video short, but right when I was gonna cut it short, something else happened. But I'm waiting for it to happen again. So this right here, mind you, this is the only sliding door that's open. But this right here pulled all the way back this way. So what happened last time was I was asking it for a sign, and it pushed over this metal thing right here. I had to tell the nurse I was sleeping because I didn't want her to think I did the shit, or I just told her I don't know. I didn't know what to, make up, but this shit is, it's crazy, And all I asked is for a sign, and they gave them to me. But the thing is, I'm used to it under the signs, But in hospitals, there's a lot of activity, and I already know I'm gonna find something, that would give me a sign or whatever. Oh, just like that. That was up there under my sweater or some shit. Okay. I know you're not welcome here, so you can go back to wherever you come from. Cause I'm not taking that. And this arm right here you can't do nothing with it. It hurts. So I gotta lay on my side right here. Hey people, God bless you, blessings, and man, pray for me.
If you listen closely, after he says, "I'm here for peace," a faint whisper can be heard saying, "Help," and then what sounds like "knife." That detail is what unsettled viewers the most. Some speculate it could be the spirit of someone who passed away in that very room, possibly someone connected to surgery or a traumatic procedure. Hospitals are places of healing, but they're also places of loss, fear, and unfinished stories. In paranormal theory, strong emotional events can leave behind residual energy, like a recording that replays under the right conditions. Others believe this could be an intelligent haunting, meaning whatever is there is aware and responding directly to Dave, especially since the whisper appears right after he speaks. During his stay, Dave also mentioned feeling a heavy presence near the chair in the room. He said the energy felt concentrated there, like someone was sitting and watching him, but when he looked, no one was there. Of course, skeptics argue hospitals are full of ambient noise, machines humming, distant voices, equipment moving, and audio pareidolia can make random sounds seem like words. According to them, when you expect to hear something, your brain can fill in the blanks. So was it simply hospital acoustics playing tricks on the ears? Or did someone or something in that room hear him when he said he came in peace and answered back? You decide. In this next video, Andrea is walking her dog late at night when something in the distance makes her stop. At first, she thinks it's just her eyes adjusting to the dark, but then she notices shapes that don't look quite right. So she pulls out her phone and starts recording. Have a look. In the distance, 3 shadow figures appear to be standing completely still. Some believe they could simply be people standing under poor lighting, their features swallowed by the darkness. At night, depth perception becomes unreliable. Streetlights can distort proportions, and shadows can merge together, making ordinary figures look unnaturally tall or solid black. But others argue something feels off. In paranormal discussions, shadow figures are often described exactly this way: human-shaped, lacking detail, and usually seen in peripheral vision. They're said to be watchers, observers, and in some reports, they appear in groups of 2 or 3. The fact that there are 3 of them standing together raises even more concern for believers. Some theories suggest that multiple figures appearing at once could indicate something more intelligent or coordinated, not residual energy, but active presence. As for danger, most accounts claim shadow entities don't always attack, but they can induce fear, paralysis, or a feeling of being targeted. And fear is something certain entities feed off. Whatever they were, one thing is clear: they weren't moving, and they were aware enough to stand there while being filmed. Until clearer footage surfaces, what Andre saw that night remains a mystery. Now in this next video, a team of paranormal investigators visit an abandoned house that locals have refused to go near for years. The place has been empty for decades, and as many paranormal researchers will tell you, abandoned buildings have a way of holding onto energy. When houses are left to decay, especially ones tied to unknown histories, tragedies, or sudden departures, believers say the energy inside can become stagnant, trapped. So the team sets up their equipment: EMF readers, cameras, and most importantly, tripwires. For those unfamiliar, tripwires are extremely sensitive devices designed to trigger if something physically passes through them. Not wind, not distant vibration, but something crossing the line. As they begin asking questions, trying to provoke a response, this happens.
And see what's popping. Nope, that's not a new tripwire. That's the same tripwire that we use at the breakfast state, that I've used in other places. Okay. That door just opened up by itself. I didn't even get that far. Dude.
You were not pure either.
This door just opened up by itself. Here we go. Wait. Crazy, right? That was me. I bumped into the table here. If you heard something rattle, that was me. With that door opening up.
Paid. Quite clean.
The tripwires suddenly went nuts, and then, almost on cue, the door slowly opens by itself. Skeptics argue structural shifts could trigger the wires, but paranormal experts would say something else entirely. They believe abandoned spaces can act like containers, especially if something tragic happened there. If investigators actively try to communicate, they're essentially knocking on whatever door exists between worlds. And sometimes, something knocks back. Abandoned buildings already carry risk, unstable floors, toxic air, human squatters. But if something unseen is also moving through the halls, that's a different kind of danger. So was this structural coincidence, or did something in that house finally respond to being called out? You decide. The following video was recorded by a woman named Simone during what was supposed to be a normal evening walk. Watch closely. If you pause at the right moment, you'll notice a dark figure leaning against a tree before it suddenly darts away. At first, Simone brushed it off. Maybe it was a trick of the light, maybe someone was hiding. But what unsettled her wasn't just what she saw, it was what she felt after leaving the area. Even when she had completely walked past the tree line, she couldn't shake the sensation that someone was still behind her, matching her pace. On her way home, she passed a strange building she'd never paid attention to before. This time, she went in. As she steps inside the dark room, look toward the right side of the door near the end of the clip. Something shifts behind it. Simone later said that's when the idea first crossed her mind. What if whatever she saw near the tree wasn't random? What if it was watching her? A few evenings later, she passed the same building again, and this time she heard a voice that sounded exactly like her sister calling her name.
I don't know why the lights are on, but I'm going inside of this house. I just heard my sister's voice, and I'm sick of this. And I need to figure out what's going on so I can put a stop to it. Why is this chair in the middle of the floor?
Mimicking entities are considered particularly dangerous. They don't just appear, they imitate familiar voices to lure people closer. When Simone stepped inside, she noticed a chair positioned strangely in the middle of the room. Before she could even finish talking, she saw the figure again. After that encounter, she convinced herself the entity was attached to the abandoned house, not her. But that assumption didn't last long, because soon after, her own home stopped being quiet. Banging at night, footsteps when she's alone, whispers she can't trace, and an overwhelming sense of fear that comes without warning. One day, a friend visited after hearing everything, and this happened.
Hey guys, it's Simone again.
You kidding me?
Yeah. So I'm here with my friend Lexi, and I thought that this was over, but it's still happening. Something from this entity is still trying to get to me, so...
I thought you were kidding.
No.
Like, this is horrible.
I'm not kidding.
I don't know how you've been living like this. This is literally, like, I've checked this door 5 times. There's no way anyone is in the backyard.
So, still going on, and I just wanted to come back and report to you guys that it's still impacting my life every day.
I'm so sorry. This is insane.
Here's the unsettling theory. If the activity followed Simone home, then this may not be about a haunted location anymore. It could be attachment, a phenomenon where an entity fixates on a person rather than a place. And attachments, according to paranormal researchers, rarely fade on their own. It's hard to walk away from something like this without answers, but Simone isn't ready to stop investigating until she understands what's happening. Now, this strange video was posted on December 27th, 2025 by a veterinary hospital in Madison, Alabama. But what makes it even more unsettling is that the footage itself had reportedly been kept private for nearly 4 years. According to the clinic's owner, Renee, something happened that night that caused all employees on shift to stop what they were doing. Have a look.
That's weird. Where is that coming from? It don't sound like it's coming from. Okay, so you still want to do banana bags, 15 mils an hour, head of starch, 4 mils an hour.
It's coming from over this way.
Alright. location. Veterinary involved, 15 healthy ID. Wait, is it Scarlet? Wait. I clamped it off before getting meds. Is somebody dropping the dog up there? What's coming from up there? They may have done that when they switched the bag. Is it the new bag for it? No. Alright, guys, can I get that help me? What's in the lobby? It's coming from the lobby. No, it's not. Where is that? Is something in here? What is that? What, phantom dolls? That's fucking weird. Is it Charles? You heard that, right? We all heard that. I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear anything. What did you hear? A dog keeps yapping. Is it Dakota? No. Look, it's coming from over here. Why don't you look in the front porch and make sure I didn't dump one or throw one in the pen outside or something? I didn't hear anything. You're not hearing that. 3 of us heard it. I didn't hear it, no. You heard it, right? I heard it. I didn't hear it. It sounds like it's coming from this side. You can't hear it at ISO though, right? No. Look at that fence out there and make sure somebody throw one in the fence. I heard nothing. I was like, what are y'all talking about? Yeah, that's a brand new bag. That's fucking bizarre. Yeah. Did you hear it? I haven't heard it. I still haven't heard it. All 3 of us heard it, and it was coming from that. It sounded like it was in that room or something. Like it sounded like it was like right 3 or 4. We're gonna play that back. I didn't even hear anything. Can you play it like specifically in those rooms or anything?
After reviewing the footage, Renee says there was no logical explanation for what they witnessed. And this wasn't an isolated event. Over time, strange activity became almost routine inside the clinic. Dog kennels securely latched would open on their own in the middle of the night. Office supplies and lightweight equipment were found scattered across rooms that had been locked. Staff members reported hearing scratching sounds coming from empty runs long after the last patient had gone home. Sometimes motion sensors would trigger in rooms where no animal was being treated. For a veterinary hospital, that detail hits differently. Because this isn't just any building, it's a place filled with heightened emotion, fear, grief, relief, heartbreak. It's where some families say goodbye to beloved pets, and many pet owners will tell you that after their animal passes, they still hear the faint scratch at the door, still feel the weight at the foot of the bed, still think they see a quick shadow dart past in the hallway. Some believe animals, especially loyal ones, linger, and that's the theory whispered among staff, that perhaps some of the dogs who passed away in that clinic never fully left, that the scratching isn't imagination, and that the kennel's opening isn't mechanical failure. So what do you think? Is it residual energy, emotional imprints replaying themselves, or something else using the setting to its advantage? Renee says she doesn't know what's in her clinic, but she's no longer convinced it's empty after closing time. The following video is a chilling reminder of why kids shouldn't be left alone outside at night. A young girl who had always dreamed of becoming a content creator decided to film herself at a park not far from her house. It was quiet, familiar, and felt safe, so she set up her camera, excited to record her video. But while she was focused on creating, something else was already there, watching and waiting in silence. Watch.
Acompáñenme a grabar en una plaza enorme. Bueno, no le dimos importancia. Miren, toda la plaza. Ahora voy a poner el trípode aquí para que, bueno. Ahí hay alguien. Estaba, miren. Eso. O sea.
Shortly after she starts filming, she notices a figure standing far off in the distance. At first, she tries to ignore it, convincing herself it's probably just someone passing by. But then, the figure moves, suddenly appearing in a different position. This time, it has her full attention. And then, it waves at her. The distance, the silence, the way it moves, none of it feels right, so she quickly decides to hide.
Uy, hay una persona que tengo. Ahí viene, chicos. Bueno, chicos, estoy aquí adentro, pero. Chicos. Voy a limpiarle un poquito la cámara.
What makes this even more disturbing is that she didn't hear footsteps, no sound of movement, yet somehow, whoever, or whatever that figure is, continues getting closer, moving unnaturally fast between positions. And then, it appears right in front of her.
Chicos, tengo mucho miedo. Chicos, literalmente había una persona persiguiéndome. Chicos, entré abajo de la estructura en donde estaba el muñeco ese. Ay, no, chicos, tengo mucho miedo. Se agacha. Chicos, desapareció. Se escuchan pasos arriba. Aquí abajo tengo mucho miedo.
Viewers were left deeply unsettled. Some believe it could be a shadow entity, something known to observe from a distance before approaching. Others say entities like this often appear in isolated places, especially at night, drawn to people who are alone and vulnerable. What troubles people most is how quickly it moved, and how silently it closed the distance, but to some, it was staged, or a prank. But I'll leave you to be the judge on this one. In this next clip, a man who works at a warehouse had been dealing with things he couldn't explain for weeks. It started small, hearing footsteps in empty aisles long after his coworkers had gone home. Sometimes he'd hear the sound of boxes shifting, like someone was moving inventory in the distance, but every time he checked, nothing was out of place. There were nights when he felt watched, especially near the back storage area where the lights didn't reach as well, and more than once, he heard what sounded like breathing behind him. Slow, quiet, only for the space behind him to be completely empty. One night during his shift, he decided to start recording, and that's when he caught this. Watch.
Quiero que chequen algo en esa tarima de ahí. Eso. Y chequen, estoy yo solo.
A figure passes by in the distance, but the moment he looks directly at where it should be, there's no one there. Some believe this could be what's known as a residual presence, something tied to the location itself, replaying movements over and over like a recording trapped in time. Others believe it could be something more aware, something that moves when it knows it isn't being watched directly. What makes this especially unsettling is how often warehouses become the center of stories like this. Large, quiet places where people have worked alone for years, sometimes leaving behind more than memories. But until he shares more footage or finds answers, whatever passed through that warehouse that night remains a mystery. Now, in this next video, a family's youngest daughter had been saying something that deeply unsettled them. On several nights, she would complain that someone was tickling her neck while she lay in bed. Not once, not twice, but repeatedly. Each time, she would quickly turn around expecting to see someone standing behind her. And every single time, there was no one there. At first, her parents assumed it was imagination, the kind children sometimes have when they're half asleep. But the consistency of it and the fear in her voice when she described it made them take it seriously. So they installed cameras in the living room and in the upstairs hallway, positioned directly toward her bedroom door, hoping to finally understand what she was experiencing, and then one day they caught this. Watch.
Okay.
In the footage, the girl suddenly reacts like something was touching her. But what makes this moment even harder to explain is that no one else is there. No sibling, no parent, and nothing visible that could have caused that reaction. Some viewers who slowed the footage down claim they could see something sitting very close to her, a faint shape moving beside her before she reacts. Paranormal researchers often warn that physical interaction, especially repeated touch, is one of the most personal and invasive forms of activity. It suggests intent, awareness, something that isn't just present, but actively engaging. And when it targets a child, it raises even more concern, because children are believed to be more sensitive and more open to things adults may not notice. What makes this situation more difficult is that the family doesn't believe moving would solve it. Many people who've gone through similar experiences say activity like this can follow the person, not the place, which means leaving the house might not mean leaving it behind. Right now, the family is searching for answers, ways to protect their daughter and understand why whatever this is seems focused on her. Until then, this remains unsolved. In this next clip, a woman had been living alone with her dog when she began noticing things she couldn't explain. Doors she clearly remembered closing would be slightly open later. Her dog would stand in the hallway, staring into empty space, sometimes whining, sometimes wagging its tail like it saw someone familiar. At night, she would hear light footsteps moving past her bedroom. Not heavy, not aggressive, but soft, like someone small walking barefoot through the house. More than once, she woke up convinced she heard movement just outside her door. Eventually, the feeling became too constant to ignore. She installed cameras around the house, hoping to prove to herself that nothing was really there. But instead, she captured this. Watch. First, the door slowly opens by itself, then something far more disturbing happens. Something peeks out, and this time, she sees something. The shape is small, and for a brief moment, it appears to resemble the apparition of a child standing there. This is where things become deeply unsettling. Child apparitions are often described as appearing harmless at first, small, quiet, non-threatening. But many paranormal researchers warn that not everything that appears as a child truly is one. Some entities are believed to take on innocent forms to lower fear, to gain comfort, and to remain unnoticed longer. What makes this even more disturbing is the behavior itself, peeking from behind doors, observing instead of immediately interacting. After seeing this footage, she didn't hesitate. She packed her things, took her dog, and left the house. She later said she wouldn't return until she found someone who could help her understand what she captured, and more importantly, how to make it stop. So what do you think she was dealing with? Now in this next clip, another family is going through something that has slowly turned their home into a place of constant fear. Their young son has been reacting in ways they can't explain. Some nights he runs out of his room saying someone poked him. Other times he wakes up with small marks on his body and points at empty walls, quietly saying, "He did it." At first they thought it was nightmares, imagination, or something he would grow out of. But as the weeks passed, the incidents became more frequent and more physical. It got bad to the extent that sleep became difficult, not just for him, but for the entire family. One night, while they were all asleep, another episode began. Watch. You can see how the boy shifts under the blanket as his feet bend unnaturally, then, suddenly, the blanket lifts like something grabbed it. The little boy immediately wakes up crying and shouting that someone pulled his foot. So to calm him down, his mother tells him she was the one who did it, hoping it would ease his fear. But deep down, she knew she hadn't even left her side of the bed. Later, when they reviewed the CCTV footage, the truth became impossible to ignore. There was no one else in the room, and yet something clearly interacted with him. Encounters like this are often described as direct physical interaction, one of the most disturbing forms of reported paranormal activity, especially when it involves children. Some believe entities target younger individuals because they're more sensitive, more open, and less resistant to their presence. The fact that the boy had already been feeling touches, being poked, and pointing to empty spaces makes this moment feel less like a single incident, and more like something that had been building over time. For the family, the fear isn't just what happened that night, it's the possibility that it could happen again. In this next video, Nate documents yet another disturbing escalation inside his home, and by this point, whatever he's dealing with has gone far beyond subtle or easy to dismiss activity. For those unfamiliar with his story, Nate has spent months trying to understand what's happening in his house. Footsteps moving through rooms when he was alone, objects not staying where he left them, his dog, once comfortable in every part of the house, suddenly refusing to go near certain corners and staring into empty space, growling at nothing. But then things got worse. He began waking up with scratches on his body he couldn't explain, and there was this constant, heavy feeling, like something was moving through the house. Then, one day, he heard knocking coming from the basement, so he did what most people wouldn't have the courage to do. He went to check. And that's when this happened. Watch.
I made my way down to the basement. So I was hearing knocking coming from down here. I don't see anything. The knocking sounded like it was coming from right around here somewhere, because I was in the kitchen and I felt it in my feet.
That voice didn't sound welcoming, and this isn't the first time whispers have appeared in his videos. Many people who followed Nate's story believe this could be something establishing presence, moving from passive signs like footsteps and object movement into direct communication. Now, this raises a much more serious question. If it's already speaking, what does it want from him? The following video was captured by a woman who believes something in her home has taken a disturbing interest in her two children. For months, she had been noticing things she couldn't explain. Her daughter would suddenly wake up in the middle of the night, crying and pointing toward corners of their room. Sometimes she refused to sleep altogether, insisting someone was standing near their bed watching them, and more than once, toys would occasionally end up in places no one remembered moving them to. She tried to convince herself it was nothing, but one night, her camera captured something she couldn't ignore. Watch this. She doesn't own any pets, and yet you can clearly see what looks like a tiny hand yank the cord. Some believe this could be the spirit of a child, entities that are often described as curious, drawn to other children, and capable of interacting with physical objects. But others warn that appearances can be misleading. There are countless cases where something presents itself as small or harmless, only to gain comfort and access to a family's space. But what makes this especially unsettling is the focus on the children. The activity isn't random, it's centered on their room, their belongings, and their beds. The mother says she wants to believe she's only being paranoid, but after watching this footage, it's hard not to ask, is this just fear playing tricks on her mind, or is something actually reaching out to her kids? I'll let you decide. Now in this next clip, popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian visits one of the most feared locations in Indiana, the Blackford County Jail. Built in 1879, this place wasn't just a prison, it was also the sheriff's living quarters, meaning law, punishment, and everyday life all existed under the same roof. For over a century, criminals were locked behind its heavy steel doors, until it finally closed in 1995. But according to locals, whatever was left behind never left. Visitors have reported hearing disembodied voices echoing through empty cells. Some claim they felt sudden sharp pains, only to later discover scratch marks on their skin. And one of the most frequently seen figures is believed to be Sheriff Townsend himself, a former lawman who many say still walks the jail, watching over it long after his death. When Ian stepped inside, he immediately tried to communicate with whatever spirit was present. Watch.
If there's anybody in this jail, and you can hear my voice, could you come talk to me? Could you sit at one of these chairs? How about this one, right across from me? Could you pull it out? I hear that there's a man by the name of Ed Townsend. I heard that you were the sheriff here. You passed away from a heart attack. But they say that somehow you're still here. Holy shit, dude. Dude, those were footsteps. Holy shit. They were walking in that room over there. Dude, that literally came from back there. Damn. Did you just walk? Was that you just walking? I freaking heard you. Holy moly.
At first, nothing happens, but after nearly 40 minutes, heavy footsteps echo through the building, like a large man walking somewhere inside the jail.
I could have been walking across this floor. Holy crap. My heart is racing already, and I just started.
Still at the sheriff's office, Ian hears a sound like a chair creaking, and the unsettling part is, Ian was completely alone. Some believe this could be Sheriff Townsend himself, still occupying his office, still carrying out his duty, refusing to abandon the place he once controlled. Others believe the jail has absorbed decades of fear, anger, and suffering, and that energy never truly fades. For more haunting videos including Ian, subscribe to the channel now. The following video was recorded by a man named Isaac, who recently moved into a house that has been passed down through several generations of his family. On the surface, it seems like a typical old home, quiet, somewhat isolated, and filled with the kind of history that comes with buildings that have stood for decades. But once you learn what happened there long before Isaac arrived, the story begins to feel far more unsettling. The original owner of the house was a war veteran. After returning from combat, he reportedly struggled heavily with PTSD, and family members say there were nights when he would suddenly leave the house and hide outside, convinced he was hearing noises coming from a small shed in the backyard. He insisted something was in there, something moving and sometimes watching. Over time, his fear of that shed grew so intense that he eventually refused to go anywhere near it. Even during the daytime, he would avoid walking past it. Years later, Isaac says that same shed is the one place on the property that never feels right. From his bedroom window, he claims he has occasionally seen figures moving inside it. Other nights, he hears loud banging coming from the shed door, like something inside is trying to force its way out. One morning, while recording a video to answer questions from viewers about the house, something strange happened. Watch this.
I've been seeing all the comments, I've been seeing all the questions, and I wanted to make a video to answer those questions for you guys now. It's about 5:30, 5:45 in the morning. I can't sleep. So I figured, why not, right? So on to the first question. What happened to the video? Y'all hear that, right? Like that. Y'all see that?
If you look closely at the window behind him, a white figure briefly appears, then suddenly moves out of sight. And not long after that, something else happens. The door slowly opens on its own, even though no one else is there. Moments like that made viewers even more curious about the shed itself, so many began asking Isaac to go inside and check it out. Watch this.
Okay, so you guys have been asking me to take you in the shed and leave the phone in there. And I know it's been a little while since I put out a video regarding the shed, but a lot has been happening and I just needed, truly needed some time. So I took it, but just to show you, it is locked, okay? And I'm going to immediately, no cuts, as per usual. Okay, so we are walking into, God, these dolls are creepy. We're gonna walk in, well, not walk in, but we're in here now. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and set this up. You guys got a good view, right? Windows, everything. All right. I guess I'll catch y'all. I'm out.
While Isaac is filming, a noise suddenly comes from one of the plastic containers, a sound that almost resembles a doll shifting or trying to move inside the box. Isaac later confirmed that when he checked afterward, there was a doll that wasn't inside its box. And if you're wondering, where did all those dolls come from? It turns out the granddaughter who now owns the property has a deep love for collecting dolls. Over the years, she filled the shed with them, hoping to eventually pass the collection down to her children. But after Isaac posted that video, viewers wanted more proof of what might be happening inside the shed. So they asked him to record another clip, this time from a different angle. Watch this.
And just so you know, because somebody actually said in the video yesterday, of course it happens from behind the camera. That's what's behind the camera, okay? Solid wall. That's what's behind the camera, okay? Okay. I'm out. That wasn't supposed to happen. Maybe I should close the door softer next time. Let's go ahead and try that again. Okay? I'm gonna close it softly this time. Lord have mercy.
Isaac had already left the shed, yet something was moving inside. Some viewers believe the shed could be tied to the trauma of the veteran who once lived there, a place where fear and distress lingered long after he passed away. Others think the dolls themselves may be acting like vessels, objects capable of holding or attracting energy. Despite how uneasy it made him feel, Isaac kept receiving messages asking him to go back to the shed again, with many people claiming the activity probably only happened during the daytime. But that assumption turned out to be wrong. Watch this. This time, whatever might be inside becomes far more active. Objects begin shifting around the room and things scatter across the floor. Some viewers claim they can hear faint breathing sounds in the background, while others believe they hear a voice quietly saying, "help," or possibly "let me out," while another sound resembles someone saying, "get out." Ever since Halloween, Isaac says every single night he hears sounds coming from the shed, noises that suggest something inside is moving things around. So each morning he wakes up to see this. Watch this.
This is what I come into every single day. Y'all ask me why the shed. Look at this. Dolls knocked over, turned around. Baseboards moved. Not baseboards. Drywall moved. Bed knocked over. Powder all over the floor. This is what I come into every single day. You guys ask me why is the shed cleaned every single time I walk in here? It's because every single day I wake up, I have to come in and clean it because it's a mess. This is a regular occurrence. So you guys are gonna watch my morning routine. Somebody said lay it like this so you get a wider angle. I have a clip on the back, so there's no way. I'm trying to figure out the best way to do this. I don't. So let's maybe from here. Oh. Okay, it's about as open as a shot as I can get because I have to. Somebody said they don't have the energy to do this. Man, it's freezing out here. It's like 20-something degrees here in South Carolina, and I'm out here having to yet once again pick all this shit up. God, I'm freezing. Even the foam mattress is solid. Good God Almighty. Back in the days when I used to wrestle, I used to pray for.
While he's sweeping and talking about the temperature in the area, a voice can be heard quietly saying, "Who's there?" Another detail also caught viewers' attention. Many people said that simply looking at that object gave them a strange, uncomfortable feeling. Several viewers even asked Isaac to investigate where it came from and why it was inside the shed in the first place. For now though, Isaac hasn't found any clear explanation, so until more details come out, that shed in the backyard remains a mystery. This next video was recorded by Nate, a man many viewers already recognize because of the strange activity that has been happening inside his home for quite some time now. Recently, people began digging deeper into his past and discovered that he used to work in a cemetery. And ever since that detail came out, some viewers have started linking the disturbances in his house to something he may have unknowingly brought back with him from that job. Whether that connection is real or not is impossible to prove, but the things happening inside his home have definitely kept people talking. One morning, Nate was simply going about his routine when he suddenly heard knocking coming from his back door. At first it sounded normal, like someone politely tapping to get his attention. Naturally, he walked over to check who might be outside, but when he got there, this happened.
So I just thought I heard somebody knocking on my back door, but I looked out there and I saw nothing, so seems like the dog heard it too. Hello? It sounds like it's coming from the back door. It's locked. There's nobody there. What the hell? I don't understand this. What the hell was that? Hello? I don't understand.
The knocking can clearly be heard, yet when Nate enters the kitchen, there's no one standing there. And if you listen carefully in the background of the clip, something else can be heard. A faint whisper that many viewers believe sounds like a woman's voice. This isn't the first time people have pointed out strange voices in Nate's recordings either. In several of his previous videos, viewers claimed to hear quiet murmurs or soft responses when Nate called out into empty rooms. Because of this, some people have started advising him to stop reacting to the activity altogether, saying that acknowledging it might only encourage whatever is causing it. But if we're being honest, that's a lot easier said than done. Imagine hearing someone knock on your door and simply ignoring it, especially when you're already dealing with things like waking up with unexplained scratches on your body, objects suddenly flying across the room, and sharp items being thrown around your home when no one else is there. At that point, curiosity and fear would probably make anyone want to check what's going on. Some viewers believe the whispers might be a form of electronic voice phenomenon, brief sounds that sometimes appear in recordings even when no one is speaking nearby. But considering everything Nate claims has been happening around him, the moment in this clip feels difficult to ignore. Whether this is connected to Nate's past work, something attached to the house itself, or something else entirely. For now, the situation remains unresolved. The following footage dates back to 2022 and was captured by a CCTV camera late at night, when the area was supposed to be completely quiet. Take a look. If you focus on the right side of the screen near the gate, you'll notice something unusual. A dark shape suddenly moves and then it disappears just as fast as it appeared. At first glance, many people suggested the most logical explanation: a camera glitch. Security cameras sometimes struggle in low light, especially when there's sudden movement, insects flying close to the lens, or changes in lighting that cause strange shadows to form. And in many cases, those explanations make perfect sense. But then, there are those who take the mystery a little further. Across many ancient cultures, there are stories suggesting that humans may not be the only beings that walk this world. Folklore from different parts of the world often speaks about shadowy figures, entities that appear briefly, moving along the edges of visibility, rarely staying long enough to be clearly seen. Some legends describe them as spirits passing between places. Others believe they could be remnants of something older, something that exists alongside us but rarely crosses fully into our world. Of course, there's no way to confirm anything like that from a single clip, but when a shape appears out of nowhere, moves like something alive, and then vanishes without a trace, it's hard not to wonder what exactly passed by. So was that a glitch, someone's shadow, or something else entirely? I'll leave that one for you to decide. Now in this next video, a man who has openly shared that he lives with severe schizophrenia decided to do something unusual. Because he often experiences things that others can't see, he started recording parts of his home at night, hoping the camera might help him figure out whether what he was seeing were hallucinations or something else entirely. One night, something strange happened and he caught it on camera. Seeing this, the man initially assumes it's just another hallucination, something his mind is creating. In the past, he developed a small trick to test whether something was real or not. Whenever he saw something unusual, he would open and close the drapes or change the lighting in the room, which usually helped make the vision disappear. So he tries the same thing again. He opens and closes the curtains, expecting the movement to stop. But this time, it doesn't. To this day, no one has been able to say with certainty what caused the movement that night. The following video is about a family and the terrifying pace at which the strange activity inside their home has been escalating, turning what was once a normal living space into somewhere they no longer feel safe being alone. It all began one afternoon when the wife was home alone. Her husband had already left for work, and she had fallen asleep on a chair in the living room. She suddenly woke up coughing violently, her throat burning, and as she caught her breath, she noticed a smell filling the air. Thick, sour, and unmistakable. The smell of rotten eggs. At first, she assumed it was something ordinary, maybe spoiled food, a gas leak, or something left in the trash. She searched the kitchen, the drains, the trash bins. She cleaned thoroughly, top to bottom, but nothing explained it. Then, just as suddenly as it appeared, it vanished. Weeks passed and the smell returned, but this time it would appear without warning, linger for only a few minutes, then disappear again. No source and no explanation. But soon, the smell became the least of their fears. They would wake up in the middle of the night to the sound of loud, agonizing screams echoing through the house, screams that didn't belong to either of them. Religious crosses they had hung on their walls would slowly rotate and sometimes be found upside down by morning, something many believe is a deliberate sign of mockery or defiance towards symbols of protection. Other nights, someone would knock on the front door, slow and deliberate, but when they opened it, no one was there. And sometimes, multiple doors would slam violently at the same time, as if something unseen was moving freely through every room, like this.
Hello? 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 Oh, shit! Hey!
After that night, they were shaken enough to temporarily leave the house. They stayed away, trying to convince themselves it could be explained, but deep down, they knew something had changed. During that time away, the husband came to a disturbing realization. He remembered a visit he had made months earlier to an abandoned Catholic church, a place locals avoided. He recalled feeling uneasy while inside, hearing faint noises behind him, and feeling as if he wasn't alone. At the time, he dismissed it as imagination, but now, seeing what was happening in his home, he began to wonder if something had followed him back. But the next video he shared complicated that theory even further. For several nights, he began hearing faint music somewhere inside the house. After searching room after room, tearing the house apart trying to find the source, he finally discovered where it was coming from. Watch.
I don't know if it's exactly or this specific thing, but after playing with it, I did notice it, that it was this doll. So that doll that I have here on my 666 chair, right, has been making some weird sound. Now, what kind of sounds or who could have been provoking the doll, right? But if you listen to this, on the back of this doll, there's actually a latch, which is right there. So that latch there, if you spin it, it will make some sound. I will show you. So this doll here, if you take the outside rank right here, twist it, and I won't twist it too much, but look. And that is the same exact sound I was hearing. Now, y'all, let me tell you something. I'm not sure what's activating this or what's causing it to sing, but tonight I will let this GoPro go live for the rest of the night. See what is provoking this to sing. The thing is that when I come out of my room right there, this thing stops singing.
The doll was the kind that only plays music when its latch is manually turned, so this raised a far more disturbing possibility. Some believe objects, especially dolls, can act as vessels. Unlike other objects, dolls resemble human forms, giving entities something easier to attach to, something easier to manipulate, but others believe something even darker may already be inside the house itself, something using the doll not as a home, but as a tool. So he set up cameras because he wanted proof. Watch. Some viewers believe the doll itself may now be the focal point, acting as a host for whatever entered the home. Others believe the activity started long before the doll, and whatever is in the house is simply using it to make its presence known in a way the family cannot ignore. And the fact that crosses are turning upside down only deepens the fear, because in many documented cases, entities believed to be malevolent will deliberately target religious symbols as a way of asserting dominance over the space and those living inside it. But until more footage is shared, this terrifying case remains unsolved. This next video was recorded by Nate, a man whose home has become the center of a long and deeply unsettling series of events that have only grown more aggressive over time. For months, Nate has documented objects moving on their own, utensils being thrown without warning, and disembodied whispers that seem to come from nowhere. His kitchen, in particular, has become the focal point of the activity, a place where things don't simply fall. They are thrown, as if something unseen is deliberately trying to make its presence known. Over time, viewers who have followed his story have watched the escalation. It began with small disturbances, soft taps, subtle movements, things easily dismissed. But soon, knives and scissors were thrown across the room, not dropped, not knocked over, but launched with force. The kind of force that suggests intention. One morning, his dog began acting restless, pacing, staring toward the kitchen, reacting to something Nate couldn't see. Moments later, a loud bang shattered the silence, and for someone who hadn't known peace in his home for months, his reaction wasn't finding a logical explanation, it was investigating.
Alright, so I just heard something. I don't know where it was coming from, either the basement or the kitchen. Not sure where, but it sounded like a bang or something. The dog is reacting to it, so not sure what that was. Is that the wall? I don't know what that was. What the fuck? Okay, those were there. Door's locked.
From the right side of the kitchen, something suddenly flies through the air. You can see the metal object clearly, reflecting light as it travels across the kitchen before crashing violently into the sink. What makes this moment especially disturbing is the fact that this isn't the first time. So, is whatever that's in the house only trying to scare him, or is it testing how far it can go? This time, it wasn't just the movement that unsettled viewers, it was the sound. Some people who turned their volume all the way up toward the end of the clip claim they heard a faint whisper, a single word, "Daddy." And then, on another Sunday morning, something even more disturbing was captured. Watch.
When you're sitting on a Sunday morning, having a cup of coffee, and you see all I can describe as a dark smoke or mist or cloud or something come up the basement stairs and move into the kitchen. Back door is locked. both locks. It came up from the basement. Like right down there. Hello?
This time, whispers can be heard, but most people couldn't make out the exact words. Some listeners claim the first whisper says, "Why don't you like me?" followed later by, "Can't you hear me?" If true, those words change everything. And once again, it happens in the kitchen. This has led some viewers to speculate that whatever is present may be tied specifically to that location. Some believe it could be the spirit of someone connected to the house's past, possibly someone who once lived there, someone who felt ignored, abandoned, or unseen. Others believe it could be something far darker, something pretending to sound vulnerable in order to gain sympathy and attention. But I'll leave you to be the judge. Now, in this next clip, a man decides to record the terrifying things he experiences anytime he stays late at work alone. What makes his situation especially unsettling is the pattern he has noticed over time. According to him, the activity never happens during the day when the office is full, never when people are moving around or making noise. It only begins when everyone has left, when the building becomes quiet, empty, and still. Some nights he heard faint tapping sounds coming from inside the office itself, like fingers lightly drumming on wood, and over time he started to feel watched.
Kalau masuk, nggak usah main-main pintu. Tutup lagi nyamuknya. Ngapain? Ya Allah, makin iseng aja lah. Astagfirullahaladzim. Udah dulu yang bagus. Hey.
The door slowly creaks open on its own, then something even more disturbing appears. A face. Moments like this are especially disturbing because they suggest that whatever is causing this isn't somewhere far away, it's right there, inside the room, moving within his space. The following clip was captured by a lady's security camera. One morning, while going through her movement notifications from the night before, she noticed an alert triggered at a strange hour, a time when she was certain everyone in the house was asleep and nothing should have been moving. Curious, she opened the footage, and what she saw immediately gave her chills. Watch. A shadow slowly pops out by the door and doesn't fully reveal itself. It peeks carefully, like something was checking if the area was clear before stepping out. What makes this especially disturbing is the fact that she doesn't have any pets, nothing that could have created a shadow of that size or shape, and no one else had access to the house that night. Viewers later asked for more context, so she shared the full video. Watch. The first thing that came to some people's minds was a rat, but isn't it too big to be a rat? I'd leave you to be the judge on this one. This next video was sent in by a lady's cousin who had recently installed a motion detecting security camera in her basement, mainly as a precaution, never expecting it would capture something that would leave her questioning what might be inside her home when she isn't there. According to her, no one was at home at the time, nothing that should have triggered the alert. So when she received a motion notification coming from the basement, a place no one had entered that entire day, she immediately felt uneasy. Still, she opened the footage. Have a look. She believes the white object might be a dryer sheet, especially since the washer and dryer are positioned to the left of the frame. But what makes this difficult to explain is the fact that there is no draft down there. The basement windows are made of sealed glass cubes that cannot be opened, meaning there is no clear airflow that could push something that deliberately across the floor. But what truly terrified her wasn't just the movement, it was the sound. If you listen closely, faint footsteps can be heard, slow and heavy, followed by a low growling or rumbling noise, something deep, something unnatural, something that doesn't sound like it belongs in an empty basement. And again, there was nobody home at the time. Some believe entities prefer lower levels of homes because they are quieter, more isolated, easier to occupy without being disturbed. Others believe growling sounds are especially concerning, often linked in paranormal reports to entities that are not passive, not harmless, but aware, territorial, and capable of interacting with their environment. So now, if no one was home, what exactly triggered the camera? Now in this next clip, popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian continues his investigation inside the infamous Blackford County Jail, a location widely regarded as one of the most feared and talked about haunted buildings in the state of Indiana. This time, Ian decides to explore one of the most avoided parts of the building, the attic. According to local rumors and previous investigators, this attic is believed to be haunted by the spirit of a young girl, an entity said to appear unexpectedly and interact with objects left behind. So Ian brings along a few trigger objects, including a stuffed animal, hoping to encourage communication. Watch.
Here, that was hung from this. Whoa. Dude, I think I just saw an orb fly by that thing. If that was you, could you do that again? Were you hung here? Were you executed here? Dude. Oh my god, dude. Oh my god. Dude, that thing is swaying back and forth. I can't believe that. Dude, it's literally just started swaying back and forth. Dude, now it's slowing down. It stopped. Dude.
As he scans the attic, something unusual begins to happen. Near an old noose hanging from the ceiling, a faint orb appears, hovering close to it. At first it seems subtle, almost easy to miss, but then the noose itself begins to swing. Many paranormal investigators believe objects like nooses can carry heavy emotional residue, especially in places where suffering or death may have occurred, making them potential focal points for spiritual energy. But what happens next is even harder to explain. Watch.
I can't stay up here. I can't. I can barely see, my freaking flashlight's dying too. Alright. I've had enough. I'm sorry, little girl. Thank you.
From somewhere in the darkness, the stuffed animal he placed earlier is suddenly thrown to the floor. Unfortunately, he didn't capture the exact moment, but moments later, Ian captures something even more disturbing. Listen carefully. A faint giggle echoes from the darkness, and it sounds like a little girl giggling. It's often warned that childlike laughter in haunted locations may not always be what it seems, as some believe certain entities imitate children to appear harmless and lower a person's guard. Until more investigations reveal the truth, what Ian captured inside that attic remains one of the most chilling and unexplained moments inside the Blackford County Jail. For more haunting videos including Ian, subscribe to the channel now. The following video is about a lady named Savannah, who's now in serious need of help, because it's starting to look like she's living through a real-life paranormal phenomenon. For months, she's been dealing with things she can't explain. Footsteps pacing around her room late at night, objects disappearing and reappearing in different places, her closet door cracking open on its own, and the overwhelming sensation that someone is standing right beside her whenever she tries to fall asleep. But things escalated the night she swore she felt something sit on her chest while she slept. And what truly pushed her to her breaking point was when she heard something in the darkness, mimicking her voice, calling her cat. She screamed, thinking she was losing her mind. Then she eventually set up cameras. What you're about to see is a compilation from different nights, everything her camera captured. Watch.
What?
Some nights, small objects would shift and slide across the room as if nudged by invisible hands. Other nights, something would crawl underneath her blanket, pressing against her legs as she slept. There were moments where her cat would freeze, stare at the corner of the room, and suddenly jump as if something tried to pick it up. And on the worst nights, she'd wake up feeling a tight pressure around her foot, like something was slowly trying to pull her off the bed. She's already blessed her room, she's placed crosses around her apartment, she's tried cleansing, prayers, everything. But whatever is there doesn't seem to care. Now she's asking for help, because at this point, she's genuinely afraid of what might happen next. If you have any suggestions, now's the time to share. Who knows, your comment might be the solution she's been searching for. In this next clip, a paranormal investigator decided to explore an old crematorium, and after what he experienced there, he says he won't be going back anytime soon. Watch this.
This is crazy.
Crematoriums already have a chilling history. These are places where countless families said their final goodbyes. Places where bodies are prepared, tagged, and stored before the final process. And in older crematoriums, especially those that have been shut down for years, many say the air never really loses that heaviness, as if the walls themselves remember everything they've seen. Some former workers claim that late at night, before closure, they'd hear metal trays shifting on their own, or doors to the furnace room slamming despite no draft. Others swear that once a body is cremated, the spirit doesn't always follow immediately. Sometimes it lingers, confused, or attached to the place where its physical form spent its final moments. Strange noises in an abandoned building are one thing, but inside a crematorium, with that history, this is the kind of place you enter once, and then decide it's better not to return. Now, in this next video, a mother named Christy has been dealing with something that's starting to unsettle her in ways she can't explain. For days now, she's noticed a strange pattern. She'll be talking to her little boy, something simple, everyday conversations, and suddenly he'll stop mid-sentence, freeze, and stare off toward a very specific part of the house. No blinking, no reacting. Almost like he's watching something move that she can't see. At first, she brushed it off as childish distraction, saying kids zone out all the time. But it kept happening, and each time, his eyes went to the same direction. One evening, while she was prepping dinner, he did it again. Only this time, he wouldn't stop pointing toward the dining room, repeating the same thing over and over with a strange calmness that made her skin crawl. Watch this.
Where's the ghost?
Look at it.
What do you see?
I see something in a tiny room.
What is
I
it?
see something in a tiny room.
Where is it?
The head. You're too rude.
I don't see it.
I'm opening it. It's the head. See, look, I'm opening it. You is one.
What?
You is one.
There's what?
You is.
What'd you see?
Next to my side.
What?
Next to my side on the to my side on the hat. To my side on the hat.
It's okay.
I see a vaccine pudding on a. I see a vaccine pudding in a hat.
You see what?
A vaccine pudding in a hat.
Imagine your own child saying something like that, with that kind of certainty. Christy finally took him to the dining room to figure out exactly where this thing was supposed to be. It turned out to be a picture hanging on the wall. But here's the part that's confusing her the most. That picture has been there for months. He's walked past it hundreds of times, eaten dinner right across from it, played near it. And it has never bothered him, so why now? Some people think kids are naturally more sensitive, and maybe he's suddenly picking up on something attached to the photo, an energy, a memory, or a presence that wasn't active before. Whatever the case is, something about that picture has clearly changed. And until she gets more answers, this one remains unsolved. The following video was captured outside an Argentinian hospital. A man had just finished visiting someone and was heading back to his car when he suddenly heard a loud bang. Thinking maybe someone needed help or that something had fallen, he walked toward the sound. But when he got there, the place was completely empty, so he headed back to his car. And that's when he noticed this. Watch.
Estamos en este momento en el microhospital, escuchamos un golpe y nos dimos vuelta porque dijimos, bueno, ¿quién está entrando? Cuestión de que no hay nadie atrás nuestro. Y miramos dentro del auto y dijimos, oh, pues si el auto... ¿Qué mierda es? Lo peor de todo es que no queremos salir. O sea, no, un miedo, la puta madre. Lo peor de todo es que se mueve adentro del auto y no hay nadie. O sea, ahora vamos a ir a controlar el auto. Pero parece como si fuese un reflejo. La puta madre. No, huevo. Ya, salimos rápido para que vean que no es mentira. Mamá, la piel de gallina, hermano. Piel de gallina. Cagazo. Nadie. Nadie. Un montón. Es un montón. Mierda. Y encima nos mira la puta que te parió. No, chavo. No. Desapareció. La concha.
The moment he saw what was sitting in the back seat, you can tell his entire body reacted. When he lifted his arm to the camera, you could literally count each hair standing straight up. That's not something you fake, that's a full body fear response. But what really got people talking were the details, especially the movement of the face. Whatever was in that car wasn't a reflection, and it definitely wasn't a person hiding inside, because he didn't even take the camera off the car until he reached for the door. And when the head suddenly ducked behind the driver's seat, yeah, reflections don't do that. Now, here's where this gets even more unsettling. This didn't happen in just any location. It happened right outside a hospital, a place where people pass on, where emotions run heavy, where many believe spirits linger the longest before moving on. So the real question is, what exactly entered that car? And why did it wait until he was alone? This one remains a mystery.